Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of ISM Radio. I'm your host, Gage Simon, and I am here tonight for Idea Stream Marketing's executive networking event in the library at the world-renowned Oheka Castle. And I have the pleasure of sitting here tonight with Jimmy Sutton from Sutton Insurance. Thanks for showing up and coming to the event.
Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. You know, me and you have some common pastime here with hockey, so we've had some really cool conversations.
We certainly have. Hockey is a small world and connects everybody.
It really is, and it's such a great hockey community here on Long Island.
It really is. It really is. And when you get involved in the hockey community, it's funny how small it actually becomes because, you know, everybody knows everybody, and, you know, it's one big family. Everybody takes care of everybody.
It really is. Guys just handed down jerseys to my kids, and you know, from the Gulls and from teams that some Long Island Cats, a team that some kid saw the jersey and he was like, "How do you have that jersey? We played against them in the first game." And my kids are like, "Somebody gave it to me," and it's just, you know, it's so awesome.
Right. No, and everybody, you know, hockey families are always, you know, renowned for being very friendly and helpful when people are in need. So it really is the best sport, and so many connections that I've made in the business world that have been because of hockey. One is this podcast and being here tonight. So,
right.
But it's always a great time to be out on the ice with the boys.
And you're still playing?
I still play twice a week. Yes, I do.
Twice a week. You got me beat, but I got a game tonight in a few hours. I got to leave here in 4 hours.
You got to start stretching out and getting ready to go.
That's it. I just told you, my kids will be stretching my hammies.
Yeah. Yep.
It's what we do. So now that we got hockey integrated into this podcast, which is always great, tell us a little bit about Sutton Insurance, because I checked out your website, like anybody should, and it's SuttonINS.com is the place to go and check that out like I did. You guys covered the entire gamut. I mean, it was pretty incredible.
Yes, we do. We do all lines of insurance. You know, we're a third-generation family-run insurance agency. My grandfather started the business back in 1963.
63, Jim Sutton.
Jim Sutton.
What was his nickname?
Well, he had a nickname, Chick, is what we used to call him. So, but, you know, it's, you know, we've been a family business since 1963. My father was the current president. I have myself there with my sister, and I have 2 cousins that work there. You know, so we've been a family business. I've grown up there from doing everything from, you know, answering phones to being a receptionist, mail, cleaning up, janitor, whatever.
Right, you did it all to come up the ranks. And I saw how many Sutton names were actually, I looked at the contact, like who works there. I saw the About Us page, and I looked at a bunch of stuff, but I saw how many people work there, and I saw the different names.
Right, we have a pretty large team there, but, you know, there are a lot of family members. You know, we have a lot of longstanding employees that have been with us. Some have been with us for 40 plus years. You know, there was their first job, and, you know, they've been with us ever since. So.
And I talk about that on all the podcasts, that goes back to management. When people are at a company for that long, it's because the company is that good. When they're good to their employees, the employees are good to the customers. And I think that always shows.
Right. And, you know, I mean, you can draw hockey into this too, but, you know, it's just bringing everybody together on your team and making sure that the team is always, you know, stands by each other, works with each other, and pushes the boat forward, so to speak. We have a tremendous team, a lot of experience. You know, we've dealt with all different types of businesses, different risks on the commercial side, on the personal side, and we have the expertise to, you know, really, when things get a little bit tricky and complicated, we're able to provide the best service and, you know,
figure out a way to make it happen and get them what they need.
Right, exactly. And, you know, you can extend that from our staff down to our clients. You know, when people come to us, we do our very best to make sure that we understand what they're doing and what they're looking to do and how to cover them the best way that they possibly can. In, you know, today's crazy world, you know, and you need insurance for everything. Me and you were just talking about it because I just formed another LLC. Right. I had an existing LLC because I run a fishing charter business out of Huntington, and I take people out fishing on my boat. And it's funny, we talked about the waivers in ice hockey. Right. Did you sign the waiver? You got to sign the waiver. You know, I created a fishing league, and there's a waiver because, you know, people are going to go out in a league. Right. Something happens. Exactly.
And that's why you form the LLC, for a little bit of that protection.
That too. And then what you do with that LLC is that you're going to want to classify that operations of what you're doing specifically so that you have the right coverage in place. If you have multiple things that you're doing under one policy, it's not always going to be covered. And you could have exclusions on the policy, which could leave you holding the bag.
Which is why I have Sutton Insurance on my side.
Right, exactly. But you don't want to be left holding the bag. You want to separate everything out as best you can. Risk transfer is really the business that we're in. We're transferring the risk from the client to the insurance company so that you have the right coverage in place and you can protect yourself.
Now, it's funny you say that because I have some friends that have some pretty expensive boats, $1.5 million boats.
Sure.
I captain these boats for them. And, I say to them, like, you got great insurance, Chubb, or all these different insurance companies for boats. Sure. And aren't you afraid? And he's like, dude, the bank and the insurance company will work it out if this thing sinks or something goes wrong.
Right.
He's like, that's what you have good insurance for.
Absolutely. And then when you sign up and you have the right policy in place, obviously that comes first and foremost. But, these companies have a duty to represent you. You sign up and pay them a specific premium for coverage for your exposures. And they have a written contract with you that as long as you, abide by what's required of you as the insured, they have a duty to protect you. So in the event that something happens, they're going to step in and they're going to protect you.
Right, they're there to protect you. Right. And now you guys also do life insurance. So that's why I mentioned you guys cover that whole.
Yes,
gamut.
Yeah, we do life insurance as well. That's something that's very important these days.
It's huge.
People don't understand that when you're very young, you can really lock in, an incredible rate that's favorable to you. For low monthly costs and a lot of coverage should something happen. You never know what can happen, especially if you have young families.
Right.
If you're in business and you have key persons that you want to protect as well, partnerships and things like that, you want to get key man policies for them. There's a whole laundry list of different things that you can do. But, protecting yourself in the best way possible, your business, your personal, it's just of utmost importance.
So now you mentioned young. So let's just touch base on that and give them a number of, because we want to communicate. A lot of podcast listeners are going to be some of the younger generation today,
Sure.
The younger kids. And when you say young, give them an age group, give them a demographic of the young kids and give them some advice of maybe when they should get that life insurance policy. When should they start that?
Well, I mean, it really should become part of your portfolio when you start, once you reach adulthood. I mean, getting a term policy is something that you could do as a young person, say you're 18 or in that range. People also get policies on their kids. They'll do that.
Right.
From birth, you can get a certain face amount of coverage. But for a normal person that's just starting out, you want to look into universal life, whole life. These are things that can accumulate cash value over time, which could help you out in the event that you need something down the road, whether it be schooling or buying a house or a condo, what have you, buying a boat.
Right, buying a boat. I did look up how much a hockey rink costs.
Yeah, exactly. Well, the hockey equipment too, so you can sock some money away for that. But when you start out young, you can lock in that rate, and it's something that will be favorable to you, where you're paying rates for when you're 18 to 22 or something like that. You're 22 years old, you're in great health. You lock that rate in for a nice face amount, and you could put some money away into a quote unquote little bit of a savings plan.
See? And that's the advice that, younger kids do need. And they need to take some of that advice and run with it and actually do it. And I would go to your website and sign up if I was a young kid and say, hey, get me on board, because that's going to help them in their future. That's something that they control their destiny as far as.
It's a necessary part of your portfolio going forward. Portfolio when you're 18 to 22. I mean,
right. They're not thinking. They
about,
They just started driving.
Exactly. Having a good time with your friends and
do you guys do auto insurance too?
We do.
Because those young kids are probably, is it still, I mean, let me ask you this, because is there still like a high risk pool that kids actually go into?
Absolutely. And then you add in all the factors here on Long Island specifically. You see how people drive out there.
Oh, forget it. The texting.
Right. Texting.
That's why I
videos,
stopped driving a motorcycle.
All the different things. You on the expressway, potholes, different stuff. You don't know.
Sinkholes here on Long
Yeah,
Island.
You saw that, right?
You saw that sinkhole on the LIE on 110.
You're just hanging out in traffic all of a
Then
sudden.
you just go to your car drops off.
All of a sudden you're in the ground. So, kids and young drivers always get nailed on the insurance. It's just part of the game.
It is.
They're inexperienced. They don't necessarily have, the expertise behind the wheel. So they're more frequent claim matters that do come up. So if you have frequent claims, then you're going to be paying more. What a lot of people will do is, if they have young drivers in the household, they will add them to, the parents will add them to their policy, so they get what's basically an insurance history. And then from there, you can eventually go out on your own. It's just much cheaper to go usually on your parents' policy.
Sure.
And then, pay them if you want, if that's how you have it set up with them. And then from there, a couple of years later, you can go out on your own. You have that little bit of a track history, and you can show your driving record. Hopefully, you don't have any tickets, accidents, claims, what have you.
Right.
But again, these are all things that we deal with on a daily basis. The young drivers thing is always a big hot topic, especially with the cost that's associated with adding them to the insurance. But we have a wealth of knowledge on that. I could talk all day.
So I grew up in Northport.
Sure.
Graduated Northport High School. I'm 18 years old. My dad at the time, we were going to auctions and buying different cars. I had bought a bunch of cars that we were selling. I sold a bunch.
That's awesome.
Made enough money, and I bought myself a 76 Stingray from a machine shop that I had worked at.
What color?
It was burgundy.
Nice.
Burgundy with really cool rims. And I mean, it was just an awesome 1976 to T-tops. I mean, I could see it now.
Yeah.
And the insurance company, my dad, and I'm not going to mention the name of the insurance company because this is a Sutton insurance podcast. Right. But that insurance company, I mean, I should bash them, but the company would drop my dad like every 6 months. And he would have to finagle something. Now, he was an accountant, so he was in business with lawyers, insurance agents, all within his office. Right. So they knew how to make it work that he would eventually get. I mean, we would show up to the auction with blank insurance cards and type the VIN number on and leave and go right to the motor vehicle and register the car right then and there. Yeah. So that was so cool. But the insurance companies, as a young driver, an 18-year-old kid with a 76 Stingray, they were not happy back then. I'll tell you that right now.
That's another thing too. The Stingrays are nice and everything like that, but the car does matter.
Higher risk.
Higher risk. You have those cars that are considered, roadsters, speedsters, whatever.
Right. The Mustangs, the the GTs,
right, the Challengers, and all that different stuff. And they're awesome cars. But again, that's something that if you're a young driver, it's likely going to increase your rate more so than it would a Honda Civic or something like that. Sorry to say, but
right.
It's just
which is probably on the higher end of the one that gets stolen the most.
Right, exactly. So it's just the young drivers always get hit pretty hard, but in due time, as long as there's no crazy claims activity, things do settle down.
Right, it works its way out. We all manage and get by. We all drive. You see them all; they're all driving out there, so it obviously it works.
And that's one of the benefits of us of working with an agency like ours. We represent 30 plus carriers in house. We have a lot of different options to go to. We can find you the best coverage.
Yeah, I saw that on your website that you mentioned that you guys can pretty much find you any
risk, but specifically to harder to place risk, we can do anything. We have all the markets to go. For any type of business, for hard to place risks in the business world, and then on the personal side with the young drivers and different things like that, we have plenty of different options to run through. So.
So what would be considered a hard to place risk for a business? Like what is?
Let me think about that.
Would it be a construction company, something that's like underwater welding?
Yes, underwater welding is
underwater welding is probably up there as number one.
Probably up there. The contractors is always a big thing, right? New York is notorious for being the only state in the United States to have the workers' comp law, labor law coverage, which is an archaic law. Basically, you have to provide a safe work environment for your employees.
Right.
And a lot of contractors don't necessarily have the right coverage in place to protect their employees if somebody does get injured on the job.
I'm already getting yelled at for not having the poster up, and I just incorporated the LLC.
Exactly. You can't waste any time. Get on it, right?
Right.
Snap your fingers. But the contractors, depending upon what you're doing and what the exposures are, if you're doing work in the boroughs, that's always can be not like a difficult risk to place. It's just a lot of paperwork and a lot of back. There's more
details to
it. Way more involved than your run of the mill. If you say you had a landlord type policy that has a big mercantile building or something like that, where they're leasing out space to various businesses in one of the business parks. Those are relatively easy to place. A lot of companies will want them because of the construction and different things like that. The exposure for them is not as significant as it would be for like a contractor that's doing work in New York City.
Gotcha. Okay. So you guys can head over to SuttonINS.com. I keep mentioning the website because I was there. I checked it out, and it was actually really good. It was easy to find stuff, and you got everything up there in the header of the different types of insurance that you guys handle. And if they want to get in touch with you, what is the best way to recommend doing that?
Well, you could always visit our website. Our main phone number is 631-581-7978. We're on social media at Sutton INS. You can find us there. We do a lot of different videos and different things that you need to be aware of in the insurance world, some hot topics, hot button issues that people are upset about. You know, there's always something, right? But, you know, it's a crazy world out there. And, you know, we have the pleasure to make sure that people have the best possible coverage that they can have for their home, business, their personal insurance, and what have you.
And to protect their family. It's just so important these days.
You see on the news, I mean, I try not to watch too much.
No,
I
can't.
It just gets a little bit too crazy. But there's such a crazy world out there.
Yeah, no.
Everybody seems very wound up and just ready to, you know, kind of chomp at the bit a little bit. So, you know, you have to be proactive and be smart about things and understand that you need to protect yourself and have.
Got to be ahead of the curve here and think. You got to think outside the box a little.
You got to see
to protect yourself.
The long road, as they say, right? So you know, you got to see down the road a little bit and play the long game and make sure that, you know, you're protecting yourself in a world that, you know, seems to be more litigious than ever.
Right. Yeah, no doubt about it. So, if there's anything else in the insurance world that you would want to touch on for somebody listening to the podcast, what do you think it would be? And if you have a topic, go ahead and grab it. And
Sure. No, we actually talk about this all the time. Well, insurance is, as you know, is kind of a year-to-year thing. You have your policy period that usually runs for one calendar year.
Right.
So what you want to do each year or each quarter is that if you're a business, you need to make sure that you're keeping in touch with your agent, touching base, updating payrolls, employee count, sales figures, different exposures. Maybe you got new trucks, maybe you got a new property or something like that. You need to update your policies to cover all of those exposures that you have, the new exposures. And then on the flip side of that, you want to make sure that if maybe you have less sales than needed last year, update those. You have less employees, less trucks, you sold off, you're downsizing, what have you. Update your policy to reflect those things so that you're not getting hit at the end of the policy period for additional premium that you shouldn't necessarily have to pay. So what I would say is that annual reviews are key, making sure that you just understand where your coverage is at and you know, where there's coverage gaps and how you can close them and make sure you have everything, you know, tied up in a nice bow.
Now, let me tell you why updating that coverage is so important. All right. Now, I mentioned to you earlier that I have a fishing charter business out of Huntington, sandcitycharter.com, and I'm also a full-time commercial tow captain. So now I'm the guy, when your boat sinks, that I'm the guy that shows up, and me and the divers, we hook everything up to the boat. We get it up to the top. We pump the water off it. We get it up. We get it back to the land and get it on a trailer and get it out.
Right.
But there are so many times where people will put a new engine on the back of their boat and forget to tell the insurance company that they put a new $25,000 engine on the back of the boat. They never went out to the boat during October to check on it during some bad storms that we get in October.
Sure.
And here's the boat. It's turtled. It's upside down, and your brand new engine is in the water. And your insurance company does not know that you have a new engine on that boat. So guess what?
Your SOL, baby.
It is not covered.
Yeah. And that's one of the things.
And that is a hard lesson to learn.
It is. You know, that's a $25,000 lesson right there, right out of the gate.
So that's,
again,
and that's cheap in that industry.
Yeah, it certainly is. Certainly is. You know, and with the boat policies, you have the agreed value on there too. So updating that, if you do make updates to that goes for everything.
Yes.
You know, not only on the business side, but your personal side. Maybe you put an extension on the house, or you put a pool in. You have different liability exposure. You got a new car, you know, a Jeep to drive around during the summer. You want to take the top off and the doors off and have a great time and what have you. You got to update your policy to make sure that you cover those exposures.
That's right.
Simply put. So that would be the one thing that I would recommend to everybody that's listening out there. Just update your policies, stay ahead of the game, stay ahead of the curve, and be proactive on these things to make sure that you understand where you're at and that there's no coverage gaps that exist.
And that's why we're here tonight at Ohika Castle podcasting, so that you guys can get a grip on some of this advice that is being given to you by industry professionals, just like Jimmy, who really knows insurance. I mean, he lives, eats, and breathes this stuff.
And hockey too.
Thanks to his grandfather, because I read it on the website. I saw in 1963. I saw he had a nickname, and it was very cool. And I was like, wow.
Yeah. You know, it's
really a family business.
It truly is a family
grassroots.
Business. You know, I always say that, you know, our name is on the building, so it's very important to us that, you know, to take care
how we represent it,
how we represent ourselves and our clients, and making sure that we're getting, you know, a great understanding of what exposures they have. And you know, it's truly a family business. It is just that. everybody that comes in, you try to treat them like family and take care of them. And that might sound cliche and everything like that, but it's something that we take great pride in, and being able to service the the New York Eastern region, I guess you could say, for insurance. But it's something we take pride in to make sure that we're taking care of everybody the best we can.
And that is not cliche, guys. You know what it is? It's nothing you're going to ever hear from the companies that you see every 30 seconds on television. There's a reason why they're running those ads, and there's no personal touch or any, and nobody that owns the company is answering the phone to handle take care of your client. You take care of, you have a big staff.
Right.
That's a big staff there.
We do. We have 22 employees, so we're not necessarily.
You're not a small insurance company.
We usually consider us a large, small agency, is the way that we put it.
Right.
So in the grand scheme of things, but like I said, we have a great team around us, and I think that's a reflection of the culture that we have at the agency itself. We're very close. Everybody's been together for a very long time, and I think that speaks to how we treat our employees, and then make sure that that everything trickles down.
That resonates out to the customers, because when the employees are happy and the customers are happy, now you got a well-oiled machine.
Right. And keeping the customers happy in the insurance world these days is
never easy.
Task,
it's never easy, but
it's one of those things where we take great pride in representing the name on the building and all that comes with it.
Well, I love your advice for everybody on the podcast, and I truly love your advice to even, me with the LLC and what to do. And I'm going to call you, and I got questions, and and I'm going to be happy to share this with people and let them know that you got to give guys like Jimmy a call to learn a little bit about what you're looking to do. Because I'll tell you, when I first started the charter business, the first thing I knew I need insurance, but I had to tell the insurance company, hey, here's how many charters I'm going to run. This is what I'm going to do. I want to know that I'm covered.
Right.
For, here's, so I'm not.
And that's
I was very transparent from the get-go, and I felt
100%.
I was doing the right thing by being that way.
100%. And that's the way that you cover yourself. You make sure that you're upfront and honest about what you're doing. That way you can get the right coverage in place for that entity.
Which is what I wanted.
Right.
And the only way to do that was being transparent and saying, here's what I'm doing.
Right. And then you have to have somebody that's thorough and understands the exposures that are there and can ask the right questions to you so that they can go to these carriers and get
right. That you're not just insurance by numbers.
Right. Exactly.
Where, and they don't, at the end of the day, they don't even know.
Correct. You just want to, we take it very seriously about, obviously the needs of our clients are very important. We're always on call. We have a 24-hour answering service. We give out our cell phone numbers and things like that to our clients, that if they ever need anything happens, claims.
Sure, because there are emergencies that happen too.
Sure, and that we need to be able to respond and have the proper contacts and vendors that we can go to help people in their time of need.
Right.
It's every day is a different day. That's kind of the beauty of the insurance world. It's
right.
You never know what you're going to walk into.
Yeah.
But it's always fun. Getting creative and just hearing people's stories is one of the things that I do really enjoy. Is understanding where people have started or how everything came to be, and just hearing the history of that, and then finding ways to be creative to protect that,
to help them out and protect them. Mm-hmm. And cover the asset. Yeah, absolutely. Well, Jimmy, it's great, man. I love it. From hockey to the boating to everything that we do here, it's thanks to Dean.
Yes. Thank you, Dean.
We got to thank Dean, because that's how we all came together. Sure. And when I heard you played hockey 2 days a week, I knew right away.
Yes. Yeah. No.
We were two peas in a pod here tonight, so this was easy. Exactly. I didn't even feel like I was doing a podcast. I really just felt like I was talking to a friend about his business, and it happens to be a really cool business that everybody out there. Doesn't matter who you are, where you live, you need insurance for something.
Yes, absolutely.
And they can get that at your website and go over to...
Check us out, SuttonINS.com. We're at SuttonINS on social media. You can find us there. We also, you can call our main line at 631-581-7978 if you want to talk to me. I'm always there, too.
That's it.
I'm happy to answer any questions that people have. There's no obligation to. I just want to be a resource for people. Just try to answer and help them out the best that I can.
There's only 2 days a week that he's on the ice.
Yeah.
That he won't be able to take your call for early morning, an hour and a half.
Those are early mornings, so you can usually get me on the way to the rink too. But it's something that hockey you can apply a lot of the things that you learn in hockey on the ice in the locker room to
100%
things across the world. So, and I think that some of that has trickled down into the business aspect of things, and just making sure that people are taken care of. I think that's where the hockey community and a lot of the business world kind of combines for me.
Just make sure you sign the waiver when you start the league.
Yes, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Sign the waiver.
I had to sign the waiver to be on the team, but and I did. You know, who's not going to sign the waiver? You want to play. Yeah. So there's nothing greater. Well, Jimmy, this was great. I had a ton of fun here. We'd love to have you back. I know we're trying to have this event once a month. Yeah. I think the next one's going to be at our facility in Kings Park.
Right.
We'd love to have you there talking more about this, and we'll cover other topics and get it out on your social media feed and whatnot. But you guys could check them out at SuttonINS.com. And for any of the social media feeds, you can go to their website and you can click on any of the social media icons that they offer there. If you're having trouble finding them on social media, it's easy to get to from the website. Go check them out. Jimmy, this was great. I appreciate you coming tonight. This was awesome.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yep.
I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, so Gage and Jimmy signing off. We'll see you guys next time. Thanks for tuning in. Over and out. Thanks for listening to ISM Radio. Join us for our invitation-only executive networking event at the legendary Ohika Castle. For more information, visit ideastreammarketing.com.